You guys, if you put it in the box, that's fine. The idea is not to take you away from your pacifiers. The idea is to be able to enter an experience. Part of entering the experience is taking away what's going to take me away from the experience. So if you want to go outside and you want to talk on your phone, that's totally fine. There's a bucket for that, there's a box for that. And I see we're not ready to start because people are still talking, but it's okay, we're going to get there. So just sing one more song. We need to get the energy integrated in this room.
Start entering into an experience right now. This is not someone talking. This experience we're going to start feeling in 3D. So drop whatever thoughts that you have. Let yourself go. And start being authentic to who you are and start feeling what's going on in your life. And for the next couple hours, we're going to bring you into that realm, into that space. Taking the words off the books, bringing them alive. Happen. We ask that everybody respects the space. Put away your phone. No talking. Because the communication that we have at this table is energetic. We feel something. We're sending electrical currents throughout this table. So we're going to close our eyes. We're going to meditate. We're going to breathe. Start with breathing.
Yeah, I'll just give a little introduction, quick thing. Sometimes we are so quick to go into a process, but there's some new guys, so I want to enroll it properly. Thank you for coming. There's going to be people showing up throughout the night, like right now. You see how that is. And this is a really beautiful space that we've created, and I would like to say that, it started with myself and Nachman and Eli, and we felt like there was too much energy coming into the room that we were literally our souls were going to leave our bodies, so we needed more vessels. to fight this intense chassidus and bring it down. So naturally, we started going into the streets, telling people about this, and they were crazy enough to listen to us. And it keeps on spreading that way, and people now are hearing about it, even all the way to famous people like Mr. Gishmak Herring and his crew, who are like famous celebrities. They're coming to this year. I just name dropped it. Yeah, it's okay. But over here, but I'll tell you, over here, what happens is we drop the labels. There's no me and you, and you're a lawyer, I'm a doctor, you're a personal development guy, you got 9 kids, you're not married. In this space, we're all different, but we're all really the same. We're coming here to connect to a certain common experience. To make that happen, so we got to be together. It's like, if you're thinking one thing and I'm speaking another thing, then, well, technically you're not really here. Like if you're thinking about what time is it, you can't be here. If you're thinking about what's the score in the Oilers game, I don't even know who's playing tonight, but let's just say. Then you're not really here. So what it takes to be here is to face your own resistance to not be here. Now, to face your own resistance, a lot of times we don't want to be in an experience because it's too intense, like we said. And if I'm talking, it's because I'm not okay to be with myself. I'm not okay with myself. I need someone to notice me, to connect with me, to see me, to talk to me, to acknowledge my existence. What if I could drop that all tonight and I put away my phone and I just go in and, meditation is listening to the words of God talking to me. That's what it is. Meditation is hearing the noises that we don't pay attention to. We're so busy with the outside noises, we forget about the inside noise, the ones that are coming in. And prayer, which is also what we're doing here tonight, we're setting up a certain sense of prayer, which is reaching out to God and asking for something. Every single week we do the shir in honor of somebody, something. Every week since October 7th, we've been doing it for the Israeli soldiers, our brothers and sisters in Israel, anyone that is putting up and stepping up and going into a place of danger is helping us. That's why we can sit here at a table and talk about it, because they're doing it over there. So they're doing it over there, and we're davening for them over here, and our davening is real, and our learning Torah is real. So when they go to war and they go into the front lines, they can feel the vibrational energy of God's wisdom coming down to the world, and believing that they're not few against many, but we're part of many, many millions of ancestors that have been here before, and we've overcome it every time.
And the way they will feel that, literally the way they will feel that is if you feel that. Meaning if you right now feel that compassion, you'll literally send energetic waves across the world. So that's what we're doing tonight, is we're feeling into things, not just for the sake of the feeling, but to really bring that emotion into the world.
So we're going into a quieter place. A quieter place means it's like davening Shemona Esrei. You don't want the person next to you to hear the crunching of the food in your ear. So we're going to try to be conscious of the crunching and the talking. But at the same time, it's interactive. So if you got a question, if something comes up for you, sometimes it's not even your question, it's somebody else's in the room's question, but they don't have the courage to ask it, so it's coming up for you because you're the one that needs to ask it. So don't be shy, but be respectful of following a process over here. So before we start, and we go into a little meditation, is there any questions? Wow, that clear, eh? Okay. Want to say anything else? So I was going into a process of trying to understand what is it that we should learn. I started learning one thing and didn't feel like it was the message. Then I started learning another thing, and it just, finally on the third try, I got to something, and this is a Hasidic discourse. It starts off, I'm going to start in here and I'm going to move to something else. I got 2 pieces that I prepared. The theme is relationship. This mimer I gave over at my L'chaim 15 years ago when I had my engagement party. I gave over this mimer. I was completely wasted, but I gave it over from my heart. And it's interesting because we're going to talk about getting wasted tonight also, in the healthy form of it, what that means. And then there is a guy, what was your name again? You came into the room, you said you're talking about wanting to know about relationship, and it's just, you know, these things.
To know if she's the right one.
If she's the right one, and this is you're gonna, that message is so relevant tonight. It's crazy. I can't even, like, I'm literally about to burst out of my seat. Where's the eject button? Unreal. It's crazy. So L'chaim u'livracha tonight. I hope that the words that I say, which are not my words, they're words that I learned more different people's shiurim, and these holy words are just, I'm just going to try to give it over, and please God that I should be able to give it over, that something should hit tonight, and that you shouldn't walk away from here the same person that you came in. You shouldn't. You should be a little bit feeling more inspired, some inner awareness maybe. Maybe we go into a feeling that we need to work through. And it's a very sacred space because everyone here wants to be here. They know what's up. And if you don't know what you were getting into, it was a deeper calling. Your soul wanted to be here tonight. All the clothing of how it came about and the logic and whatever is just, your soul was just making its way here unconsciously. And we have an opportunity as a sacred space that we can bring up stuff and it stays here, you know, like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. This is the sheer. What happens here, what we talk about here, guy came for the first time last week and he just processed a lot of anger that he had to work through, which was just a beautiful experience. I think he's never coming back again, but I'm joking. He actually called me this week.
He's actually coming back tonight. He'll be here.
Meets Hashem. Okay. So I want you to close your eyes. And by the way, the reason we say close your eyes is because the point of closing your eyes is not because I'm going to do something to you. It's because we look with our eyes at the outside world. So we're seeing the outside. We're not seeing the inside. When we close our eyes, we give ourselves an opportunity to see what's going on inside of us. So I'm going to ask you to go into a deeper place, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and maybe take a deep breath through your mouth. Your mouth is the access to your body, which is your emotions. Because your emotions is the part of you that is experiencing the here and now. And I want you to think of someone in your life, if you could, that you really love. And maybe you're having a tough time seeing eye to eye with this person. But this person means a lot to you. And you know that you want to have a relationship with this person. Come on, really feel that person in your life, a person that you love. It doesn't have to be a wife, it could be a parent, it could be a child, it could be a sibling, someone that you're facing a point of constriction with. Come on, take a deep breath, open your mouth. And whatever it is that you face with that person, whatever it is that you're facing with that person, underneath that, there's a strong desire. A desire to be in full flowing relationship with this person. If only they could see. If only they can experience what I want. And just meet that person right now. Take a deep breath, open your mouth, take a deep breath, and meet that person in just the want of this relationship. Go deeper than what's not allowing you to have that relationship. Breathe it in through your mouth and let it go. What does it feel like? What does it feel like if you didn't have that thing in front of you that said, I can't be in relationship with this person? What would it be like to be able to look at this person in the eyes and feel good about them, about myself, about the relationship? Come on, breathe. Feel what that feels like. And from that place of really wanting that relationship, I want you to just try it on and see how it feels. Just say the words, I love you. And imagine that person's hearing those words. And you could say it to them. I love you. And imagine now that those words are traveling all the way to that person's heart. That all you got to do is you're opening up a space inside of you for that person. It's traveling all the way to their heart. Doesn't matter where they are in the world. That's an energetic impulse, electromagnetic wave. And they say when you think about someone long enough, it's like all of a sudden they call you and they're like, wow, what just happened? Or you're looking at someone from a distance and they turn around and look at you. It's like we can feel that something's happening. So think about that person. Bring them into tonight. And maybe have a little desire to want to let go of the things that I've been holding on to or in that relationship and just see the possibility. Come on, open your mouth and breathe. Let that in. So welcome to the final man who just came in. Mayor, welcome. Don't worry, you're not the only one that's first time here. And okay, so we're going to go in now. I'm going to go into this mimer. Please stop me if you have any questions. So this mimer was given over in the year Tafshin Chaf Beis on Lag Baomer, which we're preparing for now this Sunday. And it's a famous pasuk, or it's a verse in Tehillim. It says, Shir Amalis LeDavid Hina Matoiv Umanayim Shevas Achim Gam Yachad. Say it in the end of Tehillim, Kuf Lamed Gimel. How nice and pleasant is it when brothers are sitting together and it says Gam Yachad. They're also united. So the Frierdiker Rebbe comes and he says something, and he says on this, if we're already sitting together as brothers, what does it add to say that they're also together, they're also united? Gam Yachad. Like if we're already sitting together, we're already connected, we're already in relationship, what is it adding to say Gam Yachad? So that's the first question. And then he goes on to say that Achim, brothers, are the souls of the Jewish people. He says, Didechar v'nukva hashayachim zelazeh. It's the masculine and feminine level of the soul that are connected, otherwise known in this world as chasen v'kala. It says over here, chasen v'kala. A husband and wife. And Sheves Achim hu akir ve'ishkashver shalahem b'kishrei tanaim. So what happens is, when it's saying that it's brothers sitting together, it's a closeness. The brothers are coming close. Two people are coming close. And how are they coming close? What's called the iskashrus. What does it mean, iskashrus? What does it mean, that connection? So iskashrus means, from when it speaks about it in the language of Chassidus, is connecting two things that are separated. So you have a rope and another rope, and you connect those two things, and it's connected. That's what iskashrus is. You take two things and you bind them together. That's what happens for a chasen and kala. When they get married, they have what's called the tanaim. They have like the conditions. Okay, we're about to go to a place of getting married. So we go through the first stage, which is the engagement process, the l'chaim process. You're tying two ropes together. And then you prepare for a different level of connection, which is called achdus, which is there's no tie in the rope. We become one rope. So the way they speak about it in Chassidus is they say it's called dvekus. Dvekus, the word dvekus means davek or davuk, which is the Hebrew word for glue. We're connected in a way that you don't see the separation. It's like bound together. So something to be said about the level of iskashrus, which is connecting, that there's me and you, and we're coming together and we're binding ourselves together. And then there's another level where we actually become one. That level exists in what he describes here on three different ways of seeing it. One is there's the masculine and feminine. A man and a woman are going to get together. They're going to be in relationship. So that's the one level of relationship. Then there's the relationship of the Jewish people and God. And then there's the relationship of just brothers sitting together. All those are a mirror of each other. So now how I relate to God is how I relate to my wife. How I relate to my wife is how I relate to my friends. You can challenge me on that, but we're going to go into it and we're going to show you. We're going to show you what that means. It doesn't always look so apparent, but that's actually what's happening. And the relationship of a man and a woman is the physical manifestation of a spiritual relationship happening between our soul and God.
Wow.
So it's a mirror. It comes out in a physical form because everything that you see and you're experiencing in this world as a physical experience has a spiritual counterpart. Does anybody not get that? What that means, it has a spiritual counterpart? They say if you're sick today, if you are sick, a small hole in the soul is a large hole in the body. So I don't just get sick because, I got COVID, or someone had the cold, or it's because what gives me life is the soul, and the soul can be fully expressed in the body when it feels aligned to how the body shows up to the world, how the body shows up to the soul. And if it's not aligned, then my immune system is weak because my life force is not coming into my body. It's not being expressed. It's not connected. Anyways, we'll continue on that if anyone has any questions on that, but let's focus more and talk about what he's going to say now, which is going to go deeper into this idea of relationship. And going to put this away for now because I want to tell a story. And this is going to really sum up everything that we're going to be facing and talking about tonight. So the idea is that we're looking for a relationship with God. Our roadmap to a relationship with God is a relationship with a woman. If we don't have a relationship with a woman right now, for whatever reason, then it's our roadmap to a relationship with God is our relationship to our friends, achim, how we sit together with brothers. So, and our relationship to a future woman is dependent on how I'm relating to God right now. So the story that the Medrash says, and there was a town of Sidon on the coast of Lebanon. And there was a married couple, they lived there, they were very blessed, they had a lot of money, and they had honor position in the community, but they had a tremendous void in their life. What was the void? They were married for 10 years and they didn't have any children. Moshe, he's talking to you, I don't know. Chaim. So they had no children, and because they had no children, they decided they're going to get divorced. Now there's a halacha in Shulchan Aruch that says that if you're married for 10 years and you don't have any kids, you're allowed to get divorced because you don't have any kids for 10 years. And part of one of the mitzvahs that I can complete as a couple between me and my wife is having children. So after 10 years, if you didn't have a kid, you can get divorced. So what do? They went to the Rashbi, they went to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. And they come to him, and he looks at them for a long time, and he goes into this deep meditation. And he's just like in front of them for quite a bit of time, just going into a deep meditation, and he turns to them and he says, okay, fine. If you're going to get divorced, I have one condition. When you got married, you made a huge party. So if you got married and you made a huge party, when you get divorced, you're also going to make a huge party. They're like, okay, what's going on over here? So they took his advice. They had this huge feast. And during the evening, the husband raises his cup, Chaim, and says to his wife, this is the last meal we're going to have together. But before you go, look around the entire house, because the guy's wealthy. Look around at every single possible treasure, the most valuable things in the house. And you know that painting. Yeah, you know what that's worth. You know what this gold, this and that. And whatever your heart desires, I want you to take it back with you to your parents' house after tonight. So the wife thought about it. She didn't respond. And then she took some spices, or she took some extra stuff to put in the wine. She spiced it up a little bit. And they drank a lot together. And the candles were burning lower. And the husband fell asleep because he was so tired. And while he was asleep, the wife told her servants, I want you to take the bed and carry the bed with the husband on it to my parents' house. And the guy wakes up in the morning, as you can imagine, and he opens his eyes and he's in this daze and he's looking around and he's like, sometimes when you get drunk, you don't know where you are the next morning. I don't know if you guys ever experienced that. It's been a while for me, but and he has no idea, and he goes, where am I? True story. And she says, in the house of my parents, and he asks, why? What's going on over here? And she said to him, this is where you told me to take you. Did you not say to me last night, take the most precious item that your heart desires? And to me, my husband, there's nothing in the world more precious than you. In that moment, it struck him so hard in his heart, it hit him, that he felt that, and they found each other again, they loved each other again. The next day they went back to Sidon, they met with the Rashbi, and he says, okay, now I can pray. He prayed, and after a year they had a kid. And that's the story. Welcome.
Wow.
What's the message of the story? And a question, why, if the Rashbi is who he is, why isn't the Rashbi from the beginning, from the get-go? The couple comes to him, he davens for them, boom, they have a baby. What does he put them through this whole, like, you got to have a feast, you got to have some wine, or you got to celebrate, you got to be, what's this whole process? Comes the Alter Rebbe, the first Rebbe of Chabad, and he says, this is not just a story. This is literally the story of our existence, of the Jewish people. And he proves it. He goes into it. He goes into step by step of the story. And he explains what actually happened, which we're going to go into tonight. But let's just say like this. When they came to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, they came with a conditional level of love. What was the condition? It was focused on a goal. Unless we're having a kid, game's over. Which means that the relationship was limited to a certain goal. And if it's not producing that child, then there's no point to stay in it. But then as soon as they were about to separate, they discovered how deeply they loved each other. So Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai took and did this. He made, what? They had a kid a year later. Welcome back. Because they tapped into.
They brought that energy into. He brought that energy into the world. That couple brought the energy into the world, into you, into the Jewish nation. Shimon Bar Yochai used them to bring that energy into the world.
So what we're going into tonight is we're going into our first marriages and how our first marriages need to morph into a second marriage, even with the same partner, or maybe even with a new partner. And when we experience setbacks and betrayals or conditions placed on the experience that we're having, when circumstance gets really tough and it gets really hard, and it doesn't feel like it's worth it, that's the moment you have a choice to have a real relationship. That's the moment that the expansion pack of your relationship comes into play. And it goes from what's called the superficial, which is conditional, to, and I don't know if it's possible, maybe it is, but we're going to explore tonight, this idea of unconditional relationship. There is nothing that can get in the way of me and you. No matter what you've done, no matter what has happened, there's something more. And that's kind of what's happening when the soul gets sent down into the world. If you think about it, the soul gets sent down into the world, God says, you're going into the world. You're not going to know me. You're going to know that there's a me, but you're not going to know me. You're not going to know me all the time. You're not going to be born knowing me. You're going to have to figure it out. You're going to have to go through it. Everyone comes to it whenever they come to it, or maybe they don't. But if you're at this shir, you've come to it because you're here. Hello, welcome. And this crisis in relationship that we go to where we feel like the relationship is over, like we want to walk away from the relationship, like the one of this couple, is the rhythm of creation. What's the rhythm of creation? We had detachment, we left. In the physical sense, we left the womb. In the spiritual sense, we left the womb, the comfort of being connected to God at all points, at all moments, at all times.
So what does it feel like to be in connection with God?
forgot if it's recording. Can you just check?
I don't even know.
I don't even know if I pressed it.
Michael,
Okay.
I see the red dot.
Yeah, listen, it's this is
Something that,
even if it's not recording.
There's a red dot.
The bottom line is, do you see the red dot in your life? That your life is recording right now. And after 120 years, when you go up to Shemayim, you're going to see your life on recording, and you're going to see how you lived your life, and you're going to show up to how you lived your life. You're going to be able to look at it, and you're going to know. You're going to be looking at yourself, and you'll be like, "Oh my gosh, you really did that, you idiot!" But we also have that in our own lives. Like right now, you can go back into your life, and you can go back to those shameful moments of your life, the parts that you're not so proud of, and you can look at them and you're like, are you still judging yourself for what you did over there? Are you upset with yourself? Do you want to press, Control Delete? Like deletes it permanently? So, Chaim. So that's a story. Is there any questions? Because I want to bring now a modern day story. What happened with that? Okay, there's no questions. So I told, this story is so crazy. I was telling over this story yesterday, and I bursted out crying. Like it was just so intense. So I'm going to try my best, but it's really a cool story, and it's related to this story. Anyways, I heard this from Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson. He gives over this story that he met one of the, I guess you could call him one of the secretaries of the Rebbe, Rabbi Benjamin Klein. And there was a wealthy couple. They couldn't have kids for 10 years. And they decide to get divorced. They get divorced. 2 months later, the wife finds out she's pregnant. Problem is, the husband's a kohen. If you get divorced and you're a kohen, you can't remarry your wife because you can't remarry a divorcee. So this guy just spent 10 years giving his all, and now he can't marry his wife, and she had a kid, his own kid. So this guy tells a story to his friend, and his friend's hearing this story. And he's like, you got to go to the Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Wow. He's like, come on. What is this? See a hocus pocus? He's going to like wave some wand and all of a sudden my life's going to be better? Like, give me a break. Just go to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. I'm not going to, this was in the 80s. I'm not going to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Blah, blah, blah. Back and forth. He finally agrees. He goes to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. He sees the Lubavitcher Rebbe. He walks into him for dollars. The Rebbe gives him $1 and he tells him quickly the story, and the Rebbe turns to him and he says, go talk to your mother. So the guy walks out, he calls up his friend, he says, this is your Rebbe? He tells me to go talk to my mother. Bunch of Baba Mises. I haven't spoken to my mother in a long time. This is nonsense. This is crazy. I'm not going to my mother. I told you it was a waste of time. He says, listen, guys, come into the experience. And so he goes to his mother, begrudgingly starts speaking to his mother. And he's like, I don't want to tell my mother the story that I got divorced. It's so embarrassing. I don't want to bother her. She's an old lady, whatever. But he's like, okay, whatever. He tells the story. And the mother says, the Rebbe told you to come speak to me? Okay, fine. I made an oath that I would never tell this to you, but you were adopted, and you're not a kohen. Oh my God. He gets remarried to his wife. They have the kid. 13 years later, the Rebbe passed away already. They went to the oil of the Rebbe, and this guy's davening at the oil, with his bar mitzvah bacher, he came. Rabbi Benjamin Klein came, spoke to him. He says, yeah, I'm the guy that the Rebbe blessed or told me to go see my mother. And I had a kid. I had my kid back, and I had another kid since. That's the story. 10 years, another story, a journey back to love. A journey back to love. Chaim.
Anochi back to love.
Yeah. So, the Chaim to those two stories, and then we're going to go into what does that mean and how can we relate to it and yada yada yada. Let's go. The Chaim of the Bracha, da 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 da. Play some acapella over here. Okay, Chevre. So let's just say now this is crazy stuff. Like, if you think about.
Let them finish the conversation.
Yeah, okay, I'll let them finish the conversation first. If you think about what happened, like, first of all, those were like two different stories about 10-year things, but you walk into the presence, undoubtedly, of a tzaddik, of a holy, righteous person. And one person says, you're gonna make a feast for your divorce. We're gonna have the greatest divorce party of all time. The other tzaddik says, go talk to your mother. And you walk in front of the presence of a tzaddik, and he's showing you something. He's showing you the path to finding the secrets of your broken relationship. Because both those relationships were about to be broken in different ways, or they were shattered, and it's in the brokenness that the light enters, as they say. But where did they get this from? It's in the cracks that the light enters, right? It's like you make a crack and the light comes through.
How does the tzaddik know? Meaning, the tzaddik knew that I couldn't just tell him the answers. I had to make him go through an experience.
Good.
Is that where you're going?
Yeah, that's part of it.
Okay, I'll stop talking.
Well, you don't have to stop talking. So let's find the clue. So you know what's cool is we don't have to look so far because the Alter Rebbe, he shows us the path. The Rebbe shows us the path. The Alter Rebbe shows us. You know what he shows us here? He says there's two psukim in Shir HaShirim. Now Shir HaShirim, in case you didn't know, certain people read Shir HaShirim every week. Erev Shabbos, the Sfardim, they read the whole Shir HaShirim. Chabad holds that the Shir HaShirim is the deepest wisdom of Chassidus. In all of the Chassidus that we have available to us, Shir HaShirim is the deepest secrets of the world. And the Alter Rebbe has a whole explanation on the whole Shir HaShirim, so it's accessible, it's available if you want to learn it. And why is it? Because it's all about relationship. And what are we here for? Well, we're here to be in relationship. Everything else is the secondary mission, or part of the mission, but it's not the mission. The mission is to be in relationship. That's what it is. So when God created the world, He desired a dwelling place in the lower worlds. What is a dwelling place in the lower worlds? Well, think about what a dwelling place is, where I can live. Where can I live? Where do you live? How do you live in your own 4 cubits of your space, which you call this is my space? Well, it's in your comfort zone. It's where you feel good about yourself. It has to work for you. So God is looking for that space. And that's relationship. So He's waiting for us to make a space for Him. So Shir HaShirim, there's two psukim, and this is where the Rashbi, this is where Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai got his advice that he gave to this couple. So, first pasuk says, "Mi tencha ke'ach li yoinek shdei imi emtza'aka b'chutz eshakcha gam lo yavoi zuli." If only it could be as with a brother, as if you had nursed at my mother's breast, then I could kiss you when I met you in the streets, and no one would despise me. This is like a very interesting pasuk, but we're going to get back to that one in 1 second, and let's go back to the next one, which I'm just going to read the English because I don't want to butcher the Hebrew. I would lead you, I would bring you to the house of my mother, sounds familiar, of her who taught me, I will let you drink of the spiced wine of my pomegranate juice. Okay? So these are the 2 psukim in Shir HaShirim which the Rashbi based his advice to this couple. The Baal Shem Tov has a perush, is an explanation of the difference between what is a relationship between a brother and a sister, sibling relationship, versus the level of a relationship with a spouse. So a sibling, he says, is revealed from the beginning, because we know where it says, you had nursed at my mother's breast. I know where you came from. We came from the same person. And I can go out into the street, and it's not weird for us to interact in the street, because I go from being revealed that we're brother and sister to later in life, we still know where we come from. Even if you're not necessarily as close as you were as kids, it's a revealed relationship. You could always go and hug that person because you came from the same place. So it's revealed from the beginning. It continues to be revealed. And it's like you can always hug each other. That's why he says, I met you in the street and no one would despise me for me kissing you. But you can't kiss your wife in the street according to Jewish practice of like tznius. I'm not telling you how you should do it or how you shouldn't do it. I'm just telling you what it says here. But there's the difference. With a spouse, the affection's in private. Why? Because what we're trying to do in a relationship with a spouse is we're trying to integrate their family system, and she's trying to integrate my family system, and there's certain secrets about the family that we have to bring up, that we have to work through privately, that not everyone needs to know. So the relationship gets built in private. It gets built in private, that's how it happens, it's a sacred thing. It's more hidden. And it's different from a sibling relationship. This is a metaphor not only for a relationship between a sibling relationship and a spouse relationship, but the relationship of the soul, that my relationship with my own soul. Sometimes we have deep connections, or we have moments of this amazing oneness, like you feel like I'm so connected to God. I'm feeling that moment, and we keep it to ourselves. And then, if I want to go and sing in public, let's say, or I want to sing in Niggin, or I want to dance, I stop expressing that joy or that passion that I have because I'm worried about what the world's going to say. So it gets hidden. That relationship stays very tznius. It stays like a sacred relationship. At the same time, it's saying here, what does Shir HaShirim say? If only it could be as with a brother, that I could kiss you when I met you in the street and no one would despise me. Meaning I want full-on expression. I want to be able to go all out in the relationship. I want there to be no bounds in the relationship. So the sibling relationship is a part of the relationship that we want to be able to bring into the godly relationship. Because in a certain sense, that's what it really is. In this world, we see that we're connected to a sibling. We could see it. I know where you came from. I know which parents you came from. I saw it all happen. I saw it go down. We lived in the same house. We did the same things. Revealed. Spouse is not revealed. Our relationship to God is also not revealed. So it comes out in a way that what I really want is I want me to be like a sibling to God. I want me to be like a sibling to my wife. I want to be able to have full-blown expression just to reveal that we really were always connected. I want to be able to be in relationship to my soul the same way. That I feel that it was always there. It was always a part of me. It wasn't just something that I became aware of and it grew. It was there in the hardest parts, in the hardest times. It was there in the good times. It's just always been there. And the hardest time to see that it was there, the hardest time to see that we're meant to be together between me and my wife, or me and God, or me and a friend, is when we go through darkness, when we go through hardship, when we go through a challenge that really shakes us up, that says this is grounds for divorce. When I say grounds for divorce, I mean I'm going to cut you out of my life. So there is a part in our life, there's a time in our life that we all go through that we say, I want to cut the soul out of my life. I want to divorce you. I don't see any fruits or children coming from you. And I'm no longer interested. I've been at this for 10 years and I don't see nothing changing. What the Rebbe said here in the story with the first one, or the second story, and then what the Rashbi said is the moment you have hit the point where you have met the condition that is breaking you, that says there's no more relationship, that's when you found the truest moment in relationship. That's when you found the opportunity for renewal. That's when you found the opportunity for birth. Because you've acknowledged that there is no relationship. And what makes a relationship realer, is when you can take away. Okay, one second. L'chaim. Just let this sink in for a second. Does everyone hear what I'm saying? Does this make sense to you guys?
It's a cliffhanger.
So God wants us to come to the home of the mother. What's the home of the mother? What's the home of the mother? It says God wants, it says, I will lead you, I will bring you to the house of my mother. Why my mother? Why doesn't it say my parents? Why does it say my mother? Why does it say father? No, it's too loud with that. So we know there's a story. There's a story that before you come into the world, you go into the womb for 9 months. That's the preparation for coming into the world. Part of that preparation is that you learn the entire Torah in your mother's womb. And it even says, don't forget the Torah of your mother. That's what it says. Just don't forget the Torah of your mother. But then right before you leave your mother, or before you leave the womb, the angel comes to you and they touch you right here. And they say, now you forget everything. What kind of joke is that? And it's not really a joke. It's the purpose of creation. It's to forget in order to remember. The couple that got into relationship, the reason that they got into relationship was because they loved each other. And the 10 years, they have forgotten why they got into the relationship to begin with. Because things got so tough. When we leave our mother's womb and we're separated, the trauma of birth, of going out into the world and becoming a somebody, and leaving all the comfort zones of my life, don't forget who you are and why you came here. When you go to the house of your mother, the womb, represents a relationship to yourself, knowing who you are. So it says, when you go to the house of my mother, go to the place where you know who you are. Everybody's mother in this room has taught them who they are. If you didn't experience in your life after you were born, you experience in the womb. Because only a mother can make you Jewish. A father can't make you Jewish. If you are born to a Goyish mother and you have a Jewish father, you're not Jewish. A Jewish person being born has to come from a Jewish mother because your mother teaches you who you are. She teaches you the whole Torah in her belly. Your father teaches you a relationship to the world. So he can make you a Levi, he can make you a Kohen, but he can't make you a Jew. So a mother's the inside, the father's the outside. So you go to your mother's home, it means go back to the root, go back to who you are. If you go back to the beginning of that relationship with that couple for 10 years, you would know that that relationship started with love and you forgot that. So I'll take you to the place of my mother and I'll let you drink the spiced wine. What happens when you drink wine? When you drink wine, the secrets come out. It says, wine enters and the secrets come out. Yeah. If anyone wants to share their secrets, we're open to it. And the second part is of my pomegranate juice. Well, what's pomegranate juice? Pomegranate juice, okay, the Alter Rebbe is going to explain it later. He has a piece on it. But the preface to it is that pomegranate juice is, you have the seeds of the pomegranate, so you open the fruit, and you have the seeds, and then you squeeze it, and the pomegranate juice is like, it's actually very healthy for you, it's very good for you, and it tastes pretty flavorful, like it's a deep flavor, it's a rich flavor, is the idea of, go back to the essence. If you break a pomegranate down to the core of it, the essence is the pomegranate juice. That's what we're after. So go back to the essence of the relationship. So Shir Hashirim is saying, go back to your mother, go back to the home of your mother, drink a little bit of wine, meaning let go, bring out the secrets, and then the essence will come out. What's the essence? The kishkas, the pomegranate juice, the essence of who you are, the oil inside of you, the desire to just be in full-blown relationship.
Meaning, if I know where my wife comes from, then nothing that she does is a mystery to me. Nothing that she does will bother me because I know the source of it, because I grew up there, and vice versa.
If I could always see and when I'm looking at my wife, if I could always see that, she's, what's the core of what she's communicating right now? What's the core of what she's trying to give over right now? And that's not just with my wife, that's with God. If I could look and say that when God slaps me, or he slaps the Jewish people, or he slaps the world, because we all experienced a slap this year, October 7th, or everybody in their own personal life. We've seen even in this community a bunch of deaths, tragic deaths. That's a slap. And for you to be able to say, I could see that there's a God under there, that's a hard thing to do. And it takes a little bit of wine, takes a little bit of bringing out the secrets. And the Alter Rebbe actually has a very nice method to get there. He explains here. But if I could see that God was just trying to express love to me in its dysfunctional, distorted way, and then the goal is to make it back to love, even in those darkest times. If when my wife did something that was terrible, she put me down or looked terrible on the outside, if I could just see that it really comes from love, this is a woman that loves me, and I could be reminded of that love between me and her, then I could work my way through the dysfunction to come back to the love. But if my relationship was about having a kid, or about having the best partner that's going to support me and always be there for me, or the person that's going to tell me how amazing I am, or the person that's going to take care of all my physical needs or my sexual needs, or she's going to make me dinner, or she's going to clean up the house, then you're not really you haven't met the relationship yet. Not to say that each person doesn't need to do their part. Not to say that the physical things that we do aren't important. But if you're still focused on the physical things and you're stuck on them, then you're stuck in a certain level of relationship which is not allowing you to enter a more intimate relationship. It's just not allowing you. So if I dive into God, let's just say, and I need Him to change the circumstance of my life, then the relationship is hinged on the circumstance working out. Because if it doesn't, then the relationship's going to struggle. It doesn't mean I shouldn't daven for those things, but the relationship's not dependent on how God turns the circumstance in my favor. It's not dependent on it. It's not dependent whether it goes my way or it doesn't go my way. It depends on how dedicated I am to the mission. We have the famous story, the Hasidim are sitting around, I'll say it quickly. One guy says, my Rebbe is the most amazing Rebbe ever because he made me come out of all my debt. It's unbelievable. I was poor, I had nothing, rich now like anything. Next guy said, yeah, my Rebbe? I'm the richest guy in my entire town, and I'm the biggest bal tzedakah I give to everyone in every moisid, and everyone comes to me, they know it. So they turn to the Lubavitcher, they go, "Nu, what's with you? How good is your Rebbe?" He says, "My Rebbe told me I have this logging business where I take these logs and I push them downstream. And every single year I push them down this stream's been going well, but the Rebbe told me put it down the other stream." Sure enough, there was an accident, crash, boom, bang, whatever, and all the sticks and stones break my bones and logs, everything happened, and I got no logs anymore. And that's my parnasa for the whole year, and I have no parnasa. So the guy, they turn to him and they're like, "So why? How is that showing that your Rebbe is so great?" He's like, "Because I'm still a chassid of that Rebbe." The greatness of the Rebbe is, the greatness of God is that I am still willing to follow that path even though it doesn't work out for me. Because it was never about working out, it was just about me being connected to that Rebbe, or me being connected to God. I think the continuation of that story is that guy was supposed to have some like illness come into his family, and they say that if you have all three things firing on all cylinders, you're going to get tested in, it's parnasa, health, or kids. And he was going to get tested in his health, and the Rebbe took away his parnasa to save his life or whatever. But that's not even the point of the story. The point of the story is, am I still dedicated even though I can't have the fruits that I want to bear? Because 40 days before you came into this world, it was already predetermined who you're going to marry. The Bas Kol called out. The first marriage that I meet when I get married is a limited relationship. It was based on conditions. Oh, she's hot, she's good looking, or she has the same values as me. Well, what happens when things change? When people go through stuff in life and there's shifts. How do I show up to that? You're not who you signed up to be. Okay? This is not what I pictured it to be. So you're being asked to go deeper in relationship. And remembering that this relationship is for you. That doesn't mean that every relationship's you're gonna stay married. There's a mitzvah to also get divorced. But that could be now I'm preparing for my second marriage. So as I'm preparing for my second marriage, so I got to integrate how I showed up conditionally in the first marriage. Or if I'm preparing for marriage, it's just know that what I'm after is an unconditional level. Now sometimes we think unconditional love is I love you no matter what, and I become a shmata, and I just do whatever you say. I'm a loser. It's unconditional. What did you say, honey? Anything you say, honey? part of me loving my wife unconditionally is me being in touch with my unconditional love for myself. If you don't love yourself, you cannot unconditionally love your wife. It doesn't work. So even if you think I'm going to do whatever she says, that's not called unconditional love. That's called conditional, because the only way I get acknowledged as a person, or I get seen as a person, or I can make this marriage work is if I show up this way. That's not called unconditional. That's your condition to being a certain way. What are you talking about? That's pretty deep stuff. Okay. Chaim. I think we got some good stuff here. We're going, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Should we take I think we should take a little break.
This next one is going to be crazy.
A niggin?
I just feel like a niggin.
Niggin?
Niggin.
So who wants to start a niggin? Let's go.
Smoke well.
Okay, guys, I want to do this proper. We're going to take we're going to start with the niggin. We're going to see where it goes. We're going to take like a 15-minute break, but I want to be back in here. Like, don't, and nobody's leaving. If anyone, does anyone have to leave right now? You guys got to leave?
Can't leave.
Okay, fine.
Take it to the next level now. We're going to the next level.
Yeah, we're going to the next level. I've been niggin request.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Bar ditch of a niggin. Let's go start it off.
Oh, one second. One second.
What?
Niggin,
Nigun bar ditch. So what's that?
This one.
Do the niggin, then if it's your regular,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yama So when Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was giving this advice to these people, this couple, he was taking Shir Hashirim seriously. He was taking what Shir Hashirim said, take me to the house of my mother and give me wine and spice it up. He's saying that you never celebrated each other. You were focused on a certain goal in your relationship. What could this relationship build us, make for us? But you never celebrated the relationship. You were good people. You had a nice life together. It was a good business transaction. But there was a lack of connection for no reason. Imagine you reach a point of unconditional love with your wife, or unconditional love with God. No matter what you throw at me, I'm going to love you no matter what. I'm going to work through it to get to that place of love. Imagine two people love each other for no reason. It's simple. What kind of child will they have? They'll have a child that will know the simplicity of being and not becoming. Oftentimes parents, they want their kids to become something that they aren't. And the relationship struggles because the relationship to my life, to my wife, to who I am, and to how I relate to my wife ends up being a projection onto my child. And instead of letting my child be, I need them to become something that I wasn't. What if I can learn to drop all my expectations on myself and learn to just be? What if I can learn to love myself for no reason? Come on, take a deep breath into that and feel that. I actually want you to open your mouth and feel, what if I could love myself for no reason? What would that feel like? And if you breathe into your body, where do you feel that in your body? Can you love yourself for no reason? Or as soon as you think of love, do you think of your successes? Maybe you think of your beautiful wife. Look what I attracted in my life. Look at my kids. I'm good looking. I have a big bank account. I have lots of followers on Instagram. Whatever it is, what does love look like to you, about you? What if you were brought up in a world where your parents loved you for no reason, that when you came home with a 70 on your test, they were just like, love you the same way that you got 100? Or when you misbehaved in school, and you came home and you told them, they didn't say, well, why did you do that? But they said, okay, let's work through this together. I love you. And just everything you came back to was this unconditional love. Who would you be today? And then who I was expected to be yesterday causes me to face that really in relationship and marriage. Where it says my marriage needs to look a certain way. My wife needs to do this. We need to have kids. We need to feel good about life together always. So my unmet needs in my childhood end up projecting into expectations in my relationship of what relationship's supposed to look like. But again, how did you want to be loved growing up? If you can go back into your childhood, look at your childhood right now and just imagine, were you unconditionally loved? Did you want to be unconditionally loved? Was it possible? Was my father so busy with himself or figuring out his stuff in his life? And my mother was just a neurotic person. Maybe she was scared and she put all her fears on me. And they came from Holocaust parents. How did I want to be loved growing up? A human being today of what we're supposed to be, a human being, which today is not human being, it's a human doing. We're always doing stuff. We're always trying to become somebody. We're always trying to accomplish something. But a human being in its simplest form is like a child. A child will go into the world and they'll dance. In one moment they're dancing, the next moment they're singing, the next moment they're yelling, and then they're angry, and then they say to their sibling, I hate you, and then the next moment they're playing with them, and then I love you. And it's just going from moment to moment and just being present to how life presents itself. And I'm just aligning myself to each moment. That's what a child is. That's what a human being is. And an adult is, because when I'm a child, I'm conditioned so much of who I need to be or how I need to show up, I end up placing conditions on the world of what life is supposed to look like. And I lose touch with just being. And I'm always chasing this conditional type life. And we all hit our breaking points. Those are the conditions where it says, I've hit my point where I'm not willing to cross that line. For this couple, it was 10 years of not having kids. So the perfect human being is someone who's willing to see the perfection in each moment. The most important thing that's happening is right now. It's called presence. That's what a relationship is. Imagine you can take the core of the relationship that you have with the one that you love, and you can be present in any given moment to what is in front of you right now. This is the wife that I love. This is the mother that I love. This is the sister. This is whoever it is. And anything that's happening right now, if I could just be present to that love, what would that relationship look like? Looking into someone's eyes, what would it look like? Talking to someone. Baal Shem Tov even says it. He says that the world is being recreated in every single moment. La'olam Hashem dvarcha nitza b'shamayim. La'olam, yeah. La'olam dvarcha nitza b'shamayim. Yeah. Thank you. And the words of God are standing in heaven at all times. What does that mean? It means that God continuously recreates by re-saying those words at every given moment. That means every moment is a literal recreation. Any moment has an opportunity to be what I want it to be. That's what it means. It means it's not attached to the previous moment in a certain sense. So then I start treating moments as opportunities. What am I making of that moment? What am I present to in that moment? What am I aware of in that moment? The only way I can say that now is the most important moment is when I'm connected to the most present part of me. What's the most present part of me? My godly soul. Does anyone get that or not get that? If you don't get that, let's throw it down, because we're gonna get to the core of that. Does anyone not get that? It's okay. You're not stupid.
The only thing present is our godly soul. The only thing present is our godly soul, you said?
Yeah. What does that mean?
It means that it's always there.
It's always there. Okay, good. So if it's always there, then why is it always present?
Because we have a piece of God inside
Okay.
of us.
Okay. So why does that mean presence?
Because it's always inside of us.
So it's constant, but why is that presence? You see, when does yeah?
If I'm living my life with my godly soul, everything present, I'm doing what I want. Like I'm living godly.
Okay, so I'm just living, doing anything and everything like that child, and he's just being present to whatever's happening.
Yeah.
So where did I lose presence? Where did I lose? Where in my life did I lose myself in the process of being present? What happened? Okay, so it was my parents. What did my parents do? They told me, or the world told me, to get attached in some way to the world. You have to start thinking about making money. You have to get good grades in school. You have to learn how to piss not on the toilet seat, whatever it is. For every step of the way. Not a bad thing, it's part of the process of life, but attachment makes us unpresent. Attachment makes us unpresent. If I'm attached to making money, then what I'm present to is making money. I'm not attached to the godly soul inside of me that I should be present to in all moments and everything, because it's unlimited, right? And it can be in any moment, any given thing. But when I'm attached to making money, I've limited my ability to see the full picture of who I am. So that's an attachment. Attachment to making money, attachment to food, attachment to drugs, attachment to drinking, attachment to success, attachment to v'chulu v'chulu, and so on and so forth. So where I get attached is where I lose presence. What am I attached to? What am I attached to?
So what you're telling is, at the moment that you get attached to a very specific thing, like money or luxuries or whatever, you lose the connection with your godly part, and losing the connection with that is basically miss the fact that God will provide you whatever you need. That is what you say?
Yeah, I'm not saying you don't have to put in an effort. I'm not saying you don't have to do stuff about it. But for example, in this couple that they couldn't have a kid, and she said, "I want you." The reason that they were going to get divorced is because they were attached to something. They were attached to a certain condition. We need to have kids, and if we don't have kids, then we get divorced. But they forgot why they got married. That created the whole relationship to begin with. We forgot when we came into the world that we were here sent on a mission. We forgot. We thought that everything that we're attached to in this world is really, really real. So we're not present to the truth of who we are. So presence is the godly soul, which is the godly consciousness, which comes into, I'm here on a mission to bring God into everything. So when I'm attached to this world, I'm detaching myself from God. in a certain sense. I have to go into an unconscious state of being. Right? Because conscious means I'm aware of who I really am. So being aware of my godly soul makes me a conscious person. Right? The awareness, what happened? Yosef was under a woman who was going to seduce him, and he saw a vision of his father and some other stuff. The point is that what was he conscious of in that moment that pulled him out of that moment? He was conscious of where he came from, who he was. The only thing that we are conscious of when we do things that we're not proud of is what's in front of us and not what fuels our existence. So I'm not aware of my godly soul. So presence means connection with your godly soul. What does it say? It says, I can go through anything in life. I can experience anything in life and nothing's going to take me away from who I am. That's called presence. So you get into a conversation and you're not enjoying the conversation with someone. And you want to leave that conversation. You're not present because you want to be in something else, but you're meant to be here. You take a deep breath and you show up to what's in front of you. And if you know maybe you're not supposed to be there, so tell the person. Don't get stuck in that moment. Make it an authentic moment. I am going to allow myself to be here. I'm going to tell the person I'm not going to be here. But don't be somewhere else while someone's talking to you. Because that's messing with two worlds. So I need to start being aware of what's fueling my experiences of life. I need to start being aware of why I married my wife to begin with. I need to start being aware of why I'm in this world and why I came into this world. I need to start being aware of why I came to the shiur tonight and what's here for me. What pulled me to this experience? What do I need to work on in my life today? Where am I stuck in my attachments, in my conditions that are not allowing me to feel fully connected to who I am and to others? When it says Sheves Achim Gam Yachad, it's like we're sitting together as brothers. Because we all have attachments in the room. We all have problems being present, even though everyone's pretty much listening. Some people are sleeping, but it's fine. But we're doing pretty good because we're not on our phones.
Deep meditation.
Yeah, deep meditation. But what I could start realizing is that what I really am is, what is presence? Is I am present to the fact that I'm a godly being. I'm a channel of the infinite presence of God. And it's David HaMelech said, he says, Ani kinor shirayich. I am your harp that just plays your music. I'm like a harp. What's a harp? Like a musical instrument is something that is played by the master and it just makes the sounds. It doesn't have any separate existence on its own, but it plays such beautiful music. It makes such beautiful sounds. Imagine you could be part of the divine harmony of existence. The symphony of existence. What's your instrument that you play? What's your flavor? How do you do it? But it's all directed towards the cosmic symphony of creation. And so the woman said, I want you. Why? Because she was drunk enough to say it. You got to get to a drunk enough place to say it. Can you get to a drunk enough place? So you got to make enough l'chaims tonight to just say that all I want is you. Now, all I want is you, remember, is if you're put into a situation where you're faced with the biggest decision of your life and you're squeezed and you got to do it, where do you turn? And where we're all meant to turn is the truth. Can you turn and say, all I want is you? Can you turn and say, all I want is you, God? Can you do that? Can you really do that? What holds you back from saying that? What's your resistance? And my resistance ends up being, he didn't give me the kid that I wanted, or he didn't give me the best parents, or he didn't give me the biggest body part, whatever one that is that you wanted it to be. Or he made me short, or whatever it is, how I got my cards, the deck that I was dealt, the hand that I was dealt. Do you accept your hand in life? Do you accept what was given to you? So if the relationship is about the relationship itself, then it's always perfect. If the relationship is about the relationship itself, then it's always perfect. If the relationship was about something else, then you're going to hit that point where you're going to be tested. That's called free choice. I'll share a little personal thing, because so you understand, we can all relate to this. And there is a reason, by the way, why we all feel that we want to have kids. There's a reason for it. You see, somebody gave us life. And the people that gave us life were our parents, and the gift of life can never be repaid. The only way it can be repaid, as it talks about, is number one, from passing that on, making children myself, giving the gift of life on, or by giving the gift of life in a spiritual way. What's a spiritual way? You know, there are many tzaddikim that didn't have kids themselves. The Lubavitcher Rebbe was one, but they say, Toldoiseim tzaddikim maisim tovim. The children of tzaddikim, the offspring of tzaddikim, are the good deeds, the powerful acts that they do. And they build and they create a change in the world. So it's like, so I make my life worthy of being lived. So I take on a big project and I make an impact in the world. So either I give and pass on the gift of life to the next generation, that's part of me giving back life, or I take on a project. So having a child is not just a simple thing of having a child to play with this little doll or whatever. It's becoming someone who, it's like following the origin of my creation. So it's a tremendous thing to say, now I can't do this. It's a tremendous challenge. So to say I'm going to get divorced is a big thing, but it's forcing me to go into a deeper place. Where is it forcing me to go into? It's forcing me to go into the relationship itself, for the relationship and no other reason. When you hit the toughest points in your relationship, and some of you aren't married, but when you hit the toughest points in your relationship with your wife, and you say, I'm down and out and I want to get divorced, you have just hit one of the greatest opportunities in your relationship. You've now entered a space where you could say, I can take this to an unconditional level of relationship. Divorce challenges the relationship to the core. The thought and idea of divorce challenges the relationship to the core. Someone who disconnects from God is challenging the relationship to the core. They're going into a place of really finding the relationship on their own. So someone who fries out or says, I'm not going to have a relationship with God, or is avoiding that relationship, is making it more real. It's more of a choice. So we have to respect those people's process. It's part of life. Is everyone still here? Chaim, any questions or comments? I think I'm talking for a little bit too much.
Seems like what you're saying is that in order to grow in life, often we have to divorce the thing in which we're using as a crutch to support us in order to push forward. To divorce ourselves from something that we think is supporting us, or helping us, or allowing us to be what we are in order to reach something greater.
Whatever your crutch is, if it's being used as a crutch, yes. That's limiting the
Glass ceiling, essentially.
that's limiting the dignity of who you are. Because when someone relies on other people, they're taking away their own dignity. It's saying that I'm not this all-powerful being that God has invested a godly soul in. I'm just a loser. I'm just a nebuch. I'm just a whatever it is. When I am taking on tzedakah, let's just say, and I'm not talking about people who really don't have the capacity in any other way, but when I'm accepting that on, I'm giving my dignity away also. It doesn't mean that there's some times that we don't need support to build ourselves back up to a point, or doesn't mean doing it all on your own, but the thing that I'm using as a crutch, that's the distinction. Support is different than a crutch. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah. But again, it seems, to reiterate, it's like, in order to grow, you have to let go. The thing that you think is allowing you to be where you are in order to surpass that.
There's this shore crab, or whatever it's called, that it goes from a shell, from one shell to another shell. In the process of going from one shell to another, like it gets big enough, it expands, it needs to break free of its shell, and it needs to be completely naked to find its new shell. In that process of expanding, I need to be completely vulnerable. I need to let go. And that's the scariest thing in the world. It's like, let's say you leave a company and then you're going into a new company, and like it's the in-between, or like I'm making a transition in my life. I'm moving from one place to another. I don't know what's going to be. That's the expansion. Is sitting in the unknown.
How do I feel into it?
Okay, so lead us through a meditation already. Stop talking about it here.
That's the Rabbi Twersky's
In Perek Gimel of Tanya, it talks about how the emotions are children, are like children. The Alter Rebbe is going to talk about a piece here that talks about what the emotions come from, but every emotion is a child. There's no emotion that is born without it coming from a certain awareness. So it talks about that Chochmah and Bina, there's two of the intellectual faculties that are called Abba and Ima, the mother and father of the children, which are the emotions. So Chochmah is, let's just call it wisdom, and then understanding, gives birth to the emotions. So just like every child comes from two parents, every emotion was preceded by a thought, a belief. It came from a parent thought or experience. And we don't always realize that, because when we have this intense emotion, we say, well, I'm just feeling this way for that reason, because this is just how I feel. But if we tune in and we're aware, we can see that it actually comes from a deeper seated place. It's never what you say. It's never what you say or what you do that triggers me. It's what I heard you say that triggers me. It's what I heard you say that triggers me. And what I hear you say is how I think about myself and about life. It's my paradigm, it's my coping mechanism, it's my belief system. These are all things that come from me. So responsibility, when we're taking responsibility for life, it means that I take control over my reactions. I may not always be able to in that moment, but it depends on, how intense it is, and I go and I can reconcile the moment. I can recognize that me acting out of anger or acting out of sadness or acting out of fear is not appropriate. It's acting like a child, again, because a child is emotions. It acts from a purely emotional place. But beneath the emotion is a certain inner awareness that we can learn to pay attention to and understand. So self-awareness means I'm ready to grow up and be a parent. That's what it means. And if I want to be an emotional person, I'm just a child. Now, it doesn't mean I can't express and experience emotions, but if I'm acting out of an emotional place, I'm still acting like a child. I don't want to take responsibility. Because a child is not responsible for itself. It's in the position where his parents are responsible for them. So somebody else is responsible for the emotional way that I'm being. When I learn about the inner awareness of what is driving that emotion, I become a parent. Because I can take responsibility. So if I'm acting angry because I believe that I'm not good enough, and someone just triggered that, then I can start taking responsibility over the thought and belief that I'm not good enough. Instead of just telling that guy that he's a loser or a rude person or a mean guy because he just triggered something inside of me that puts me down and says that I'm not worth anything, when all he's doing is just being the person that he is. But I'm hearing it from a certain lens. I'm hearing it from my own lens. I'm hearing it from how it was given over to me, from how life is supposed to be. So when the couple said that we don't have children, the Alter Rebbe says, listen to this, what they're saying is that I don't have emotions. Did you just hear what I said? When the Alter Rebbe is going to say this in this piece over here, he's saying, but when the couple said we don't have children, they're also saying we don't have emotions. And when you have each other, you have everything. But they didn't feel like they had everything. They felt like they were limited. So they were being strained emotionally. Emotions are full-blown expression, full-blown, like, again, going back to the quote, you'll go in the streets and I'll kiss you like my brother. I'll embrace you like a sibling. And no one will despise me. Full-blown emotions. Where did you get strained emotionally? So this couple got strained emotionally, not having children. Not having children is not having emotions. I got strained emotionally. I was squeezed. Does that make sense to you guys? Are we getting somewhere? So here's what he says in the text, which is really good stuff. And if we take this stuff to heart, then it's going to give us really practical advice of where to go with this. So, interchange the words, right? It says, Skula labanim sheyiya hulda. A skula is like a good omen. A way of getting kids born is, Dehina ba'avedasa yisbarach nikra hulda benubas yira ve'ava. What's it called to give birth to kids? It's called love and fear. Emotions. Those are the two. Every emotion is related to love and fear. Every emotion. Love is the idea of closeness, connection. Love, closeness, connection, attachment, support, seeing each other. It's like all derivatives of love. And fear is this idea of respect. It's awe. There's a certain distance between me and you. There's like, I can honor you. Those are the two fundamental pillars in all of expression of different types of variations of emotions. Having children means having those emotions inside of me. So as my child is expressed, that means I have a fully integrated love and fear. I can connect with you when I need to connect with you, and I can fear you when I need to fear you. And we have this relationship with God where it says He's our Avinu Malkeinu, He's our Father, which is the idea of love, you're my Father, and Malkeinu is you're the King. And when you're the king, it's like, okay, there's a certain respect for a king. You don't talk to a king a certain way. You don't act in front of a king a certain way, so on and so forth. I respect the greatness of who you are. So we have to have those in balance. That's what it means to have healthy children. That's what it means to have children. So he says, there's a type of person that has no ecstasy, they have no feeling in reality. They're going through the motions, but they're not really doing the whole thing with joy, with like, I'm coming into this with like when you go into shul and it says that you're going to meet God with 10 men, because the Shekhinah dwells in the presence of 10 men. Do you feel that experience as being a holy experience? Do you feel that as like being a connected experience? And most people don't. That's what he's saying here. We don't have them integrated, but there's a potential for everyone to have that. So then he goes into, and the Alter Rebbe goes into that story with a couple, and they came to the Rashbi, and they asked for children, and the whole story was, she says, come back, and she gets him drunk, and then come back to my house, and I just wanted you. So we go into a place where we have no feelings, and we can recognize that we have no feelings for each other. Like if you could be honest and you could say, I have no feelings for you, I want to have feelings for you, and pick any relationship. You want to pick your sister, you want to pick your brother, you want to pick your mother, you want to pick your father, you want to pick God, you want to pick your wife, you want to pick your children. And you're feeling like there's no connection there, like you don't, like the relationship's cold. So we got to go back to the core of the relationship. What the core of the relationship is, I got to get a little bit drunk, and I got to evaluate. I got to do an internal evaluation of what's really important here, and that's going to wake up the feeling. And then afterwards, when I created the feeling, well, guess what happened? Feelings are kids. So then they opened up because they started to feel again for each other. They channeled children. Not just the emotional level of children, which is to feel again for each other, to want to be in relationship, but they channel physical children. And then he says here, the Alter Rebbe says that Ve'animshalhu gam kem ba'avodas Hashem sheYisrael al yedei ma'aseim ma'aseh hatzedakah ve'amitzvos b'simcha. That when a Jew goes out and he does a mitzvah, not just I do a mitzvah because it says, the Torah says a mitzvah. There's two different definitions of mitzvah. One is a mitzvah is something that God commanded us, and one is, it's called tzavtza v'chibur, it's a connection point. It's a portal of connection. It's like we're going into a sacred space together. It's like having relations with God in that moment, so to speak. It's being intimate with God. If I do that, when I put on tefillin, if I feel the simcha, if I go into it, and I arouse within myself the simcha, the happiness, that's called birthing children. That's called giving God your pomegranate juice. It's giving Him the deepest parts of you, which are called my emotions. It's giving Him your children. Imagine you said, I'm going to give you all my children. I'm going to give you my children. Imagine telling someone you're going to give them your children. That means you really love them. It's not because you're afraid. It's because you really love them. You're going to give them. So the children inside of me are the pomegranate juice. When I've been squeezed to my essence, when I'm feeling so much like I want to give myself over to you. It's overwhelming how much I want to give myself over to you. And that's because I'm excited about the relationship. And what excites me about the relationship is when the child inside of me is alive. And it feels the realness of the relationship, the presence of the relationship. And the presence of the relationship is felt when I'm present to who I am, when I'm present to the unlimited being of who I am. A child shows you who you're supposed to be when you're an adult. When you look at a child, that's how you're supposed to relate to God, like this little innocent being that's just careless and open and free and doesn't get attached to things and can focus on what's important and just move on from moment to moment. And I need to be able to access that, because what is that level? That level is ve'imcha loy chafatzti ba'aretz. And with you, mili v'shamayim, who is there in the heavens? I only want you. I only want you. And I only want you means I've given you my pomegranate juice, which means a heart-to-heart vibration experience. Because I'm arousing my emotions for you. I'm feeling the vibration of the relationship. Friends with no benefits. Yeah. Friends with no benefits. There's no benefit. Just I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I'm fully loving the relationship for what it is, not for what it gives me. If I want the benefits, let's say I want the benefits, everyone wants the benefits, we all want benefits. Who doesn't want the benefits? Then I'm not in touch with the deepest core of my soul. The deepest level of who I am is not attached to this world. It's just not. So it's not attached to what the benefits are. It's not attached to the conditions. It's not attached to what it's going to get out of it. It's attached to the relationship, and that's it. So the Alter Rebbe said he was davening, or actually it was witnessed. He was witness davening, and he said, "I don't want your levels of Gan Eden. Not the lower ones, not the higher ones. I don't want any benefit whatsoever. I just want you alone." What does that mean? I just want you alone. He was in a certain dveikus, he was in a certain connection to God, and he was meditating, and he said these words out loud. He didn't mean to say these words out loud, he just said them, and it was witnessed, it was heard, and it was given over. And if it was witnessed and heard and given over, that means we have access to that too. Where I can reach a level of being in relationship to God where I just want you alone. Well, what does it mean, you alone? Think about what it means, you alone. What it means, you alone is let's say someone's in a room alone, and then you come into the room. Now they're not alone anymore because you're in the room. So how could you say, I want you alone? You don't want you alone because you're going to be in the room. What you alone means is, it means I have to be totally melted into their existence. I have to be totally absorbed in their existence, which means I'm totally into the relationship. There's no me that just entered the room. There's just oneness. Ein oid milvadai means that there is no other thing. I'm coming to a level of I'm just alone with you. It's just me and you alone. What is me and you alone is I touch the deepest core of my reality, which is that godly presence. What's the deepest core of my experience? You say to your wife, I just want you alone. You say to a person, I just want you alone. You're saying, I really get you. Because I get me. I'm the same person as you. In the core of who we really are, we're the same. You're also a person that struggles. There's every single layer in front of us, in front of the relationship, is just a manifestation of the connectedness. It's just where it's at right now. So it needs a layer to work through it to get to be more connected. It's put in the way for me to be able to work through it to get back to the oneness. So if your brother did something to you, or your mother did something to you, your father did something to you, or your this did something to you, you can get back to that oneness again. I guarantee you. There's nothing in the way of it. And it doesn't always mean going out and repairing the relationship outside. It's repairing the relationship inside. Because again, it's an emotional thing. So he said, it's an ava and it's a yira. I lost the desire to connect with you. I lost the respect for you. But you don't really see what's going on here. You've been compromised and you need to work through that. You need to get back to the place where you can be fully present to who you are beneath all the places that you got wounded and hurt. And the world said, be pragmatic, be realistic. There's no such thing as idealism. There are things that you have to actually pay attention to and you have to work through, and there's breaking points. And if you don't have a kid for 10 years, you got to get divorced. And if this woman is driving you nuts for the last 7 years, it's time to divorce her. Whatever it is, that breaking point is forcing you into something so deep. You have no idea. It's forcing you to meet the unlimited self that you are. Do you understand what I just said? Hoff? What? Let's go.
Huh? Meaning the challenge is that if you defeat the challenge, the gift is on the other side.
Yeah, we look at challenges and we say, I want to change this, I want to change that. That will never allow me to be fully present to the relationship. If I always want to change this and change that, because it says that the relationship can't exist until it gets to that point. And that's not true. Appreciate where you are right now. Right now, where you are. And the deepest sense of relationship ends up being able to be me at all times, at all moments. So some people could say it's very idealistic. It's being present to the flow of life without any agendas. I said this story before, but I was walking down the street once, actually on Thornridge right here, and my kids were walking ahead and different things were happening, and then some guys were driving. I was walking to Nachman's house on Yontif. And a guy almost hit another guy in a car because my kids were walking, and then this guy comes and he's driving and he goes, did you see that whatever? And he says all these curse words about the guy that almost hit him. And I literally stopped, I took a deep breath and I said, I don't know why I'm meant to be here, but God wants me here. So I engaged in the conversation. And he started telling me about his day and this and that, and I was like, buddy, can I just ask you, do you want a hug? You look like you had a tough day. He gets out of his car, he gives me a hug, and he literally breaks down crying on my shoulder. And I was like, that was like really intense. I was like, okay. And then it just hit me, and I was like, hey, maybe that guy needed to cut you off for you to come and talk to me, for me to ask you to get out of your car, for you to cry on my shoulder because you were just having a tough day and that's what you needed right now. And the way in which it came about wasn't the prettiest way, but that the finishing was where it needed to be. And I could be present to that and appreciate that. So then I can also appreciate the guy cutting me off, because that's a part of my process. Can we experience life that way? Can we see it that way? Can we see our challenges as gifts? That takes a lot of courage. But the ultimate courage is saying that, yeah, the godly soul can go through anything, any challenge. It's never too much.
Don't you think that makes you take your challenges less seriously?
What?
Don't you think that makes you take your challenges less seriously?
Well, I can only talk about the challenges that you're discussing if we throw it down and tell me what your real challenge is. Because I don't live in hypothetical, I live in practical. You know what I mean, brother? But again, I'm not forcing any experience. I just like, the hypothetical advice gives a lot less what you're looking for when you ask that question.